What's up YouTube, Ninja Chortle here, and today we're gonna try to quickly cover this custom because there's not gonna be a whole lot of details to disclose about how I made it, but it still will go over quickly this custom Ultron, which was inspired by, but not exactly the same, but still inspired by the Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite version of Ultron, because he's going to go on my Marvel vs. Capcom collection of action figures that I have. And if you're curious on what the hell I'm talking about, I have a collection of dedicated to Marvel vs. Capcom, and he's going to go in that collection. And I do cover that in other videos, but that won't be extensively covered today. We're just going to talk about Ultron, how I made him, where the parts and pieces came from. So in case you wanted to make one, you can do so. And this one's actually pretty simple. Wouldn't take a whole lot of effort, relatively, if you know how to make customs, which I won't instruct you on how to do that, but just let you know where all of those things, all of these pieces came from. If you're interested in making customs, you can do exactly the same thing I did, is watch a bunch of YouTube channels and YouTube videos, and maybe a few blog posts here and there. But basically, I learned from the internet, so I believe in you. You can do the same thing I did. But let's talk about Ultron. Again, he's a pretty good character, not the direct boss in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, but he is part of that boss. And although Sigma is not available, at least not from Hasbro, and who knows, maybe I'll make a Sigma one day, but Ultron is just regular Ultron, not Ultron Sigma here. And like I said, he's inspired from Marvel's Capcom Infinite, but he does have looks like this in the comic books, although this exact look is not what he looks like in the game or in the comic books. It's just inspired by. So let's get into it. The figure, almost entirely of this figure, is the infamous Iron Man figure that was a Walgreens exclusive last winter, and I bought an extra one, or I'm gonna say an extra one. I bought one last year specifically because it came with the Doctor Doom head as Victor Von Doom, and that's the only reason why I bought it. I had no interest in the Iron Man figure whatsoever, but infamous Iron Man was Doctor Doom, actually as a hero, dressed as Iron Man. So I say all of that because the base plastic color is a very dark gray color. So when painting this steel color is a Model Masters acrylic paint, steel, and that's basically the base color is a dark gray. So if you don't have the ability, which you should still be able to grab one on eBay, to get an infamous Iron Man from someone, because they're definitely not in stores anymore. Another option for you is the actual body mold that this infamous Iron Man was came from, and that's this. What was this called? The Invincible Iron Man. There you go. So this was part of the Black Panther wave a few years ago. It's the exact same body. Like, there's literally nothing different between these two. This one came with more accessories. The repulsor rays. The infamous Iron Man actually did come with repulsor rays. They were pink in color. That doesn't really match what's going on with Ultron here. So I'm not using them. I think the 80 years Iron Man has like a yellowish color blasts, and I might use those here because it kind of matches what's going on inside of his mouth. But for the most part, he doesn't have that right now. And I do have his other hands. I did finish those as well, so they're just fists. As you can see what those look like, they're just repainted steel color. But for the most part, I'm going to have him with his open hands like this on my display. But everything else is as the same thing. Starting with the bottom, again, all of it is the exact same body mold. But again, it started as a dark gray color on the infamous Iron Man, as opposed to what this Invincible Iron Man is with his gold and red. One detail that you can't see here is that on his leg I painted some red there. So all of the red accents on this Ultron are meant to just kind of mimic his look from the comics, mimic his look in the game. The lighting on the game and the game model is completely different than what I ended up doing, but that's because this body mold isn't the same body mold, in general. So I just kind of did my own thing and just decided where I wanted to put that kind of lights. So it just went right here along the insides, where you can see here he doesn't really have much color, a little bit there. He does have his little arc reactor in the chest. So Ultron doesn't have that, so I ended up using epoxy sculpt to cover that up and just kind of give him a chest panel, like a generic chest panel. You can kind of see where the epoxy sculpt is there, just because it's not completely flush there. And there's a little bit of lighting there right across the top of his pecs. And in general, all the rest of it is just painted the same silver color, or excuse me, steel color. And lastly, the head, the helmet. So this is, again, I should have done this earlier. Here's the head for the infamous Iron Man. He did have a whole cloak and this dark silver, dark gray color to him. So this head, though, is Ultron. It's actually an Ultron head. It came from the Retrowave Vision, that Marvel Legends Retrowave Vision. It was just a Vision figure, and he packed it in with an extra head, and the head was for Ultron. This is that head, and I did repaint the head. It was a little bit lighter, like a silverish color gray, very light, and I used the same steel paint and repainted the head. Unfortunately, you may not be able to pick it up very well on camera, but this head is still a little lighter than the rest of the body. But again, that's because this was a lighter gray and this was a darker gray, and I didn't do any priming. So because this started off darker, this steel color is darker than this steel color because it started off with a lighter base. But that's it. I did use gloss paint, or excuse me, gloss sealer on the entire body so that it has a little bit more shine, though I don't honestly see it all that well, to be honest with you, but it does have the gloss sealer, I promise you. Oh, and lastly, this is pretty much relatively the first male figure that I've made on the channel. I did attempt to do an Electro a few months ago, and it was pretty much a failure, and I was a little discouraged on that. But that was because I didn't crack the torso on the Electro. I didn't do all of the right steps, and in this case I did do that. This is kind of a practice figure, though. I didn't take it all that seriously. I mean, I'm happy to have it, but in general I did crack the torso. And one way that I did that, I cracked it here in between the legs, and then you can see, you can actually see some of the holes there, maybe if it focuses. There you go. I cracked it that way. So first I cracked it here in between the legs to crack this lower torso here, and then, or I should say his waist. And then once that pops off, and then I have all of his legs, it's just the upper torso. So basically this, all of this is gone, and I had this section available. So I was able to drill the holes there and there, and then crack that open. And then on the inside, I believe, actually no, I don't remember where. Did I do it on the oh, there it is. Yeah, right here on the inside of the elbow. That's where I drilled the holes there to crack the last part of the upper torso open, and voila, I was able to do that. And that was necessary so that way I could take out the shoulder joints, because those are pretty stuck in there, and also sand the shoulders themselves, the inside of that, so that there's no paint rub in there, and paint the inside so that there's no paint rub, and also, you know, when you're doing all of the bending and stuff, so the insides are well painted and things like that. So this is the first time I was able to crack a torso on a male figure and do all of that painting, and it's put back together without any issues. I had issues with Electro, but I didn't have issues with Ultron. I didn't sand or paint his joints, so the elbows and the knees were not sanded or painted, so that's one reason why there's no paint rub there. So those are still dark gray, but I don't mind that. I wanted this to be easy, and I don't mind that the color anyway, because it's still within his color range, so it's totally fine with me. But that said, this went really well, and I'm really happy how he turned out. And I will be doing some more male figures very, very soon. As a matter of fact, I won't be spoiling those. If you need to know what I'm working on next, you should have already have followed me on Twitch, twitch.tv/ninja_chortle, where I work on my customs there, both sculpting and painting and priming, and just, you know, hanging out and doing stuff with all of my customs. And yeah, I've already told the stream what I'm working on next that are male. There are 2 characters, and they're pretty heavy hitters. That's I would say that much. So those are going to be coming quite soon. And yeah, I'm feeling more confident about making male figures. So yeah, we're gonna swing for the fences for the next one. Now that this mediocre one is done, we're gonna swing for the fences and go for the big one. So anyway, make sure you subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. I got more videos on the way. I got more customs. I got plenty of more customs. My goodness, on the way. So I'll see you guys next time. Peace.